So saints need cycles of sin to get perspective on the world. Just like, again, we'll use Christianity, but there's a lot of different books where this is true. Different religions where this is true, where the person up on the mountain or the person that's at the pinnacle of humanity comes down to meet the person that's at the bottom. So, Jesus, he hung out with the prostitutes, he hung out with the beggars, he hung out with the collection, the people who did tax collection and stuff like that. Those would be people that are either kind of looked down on in society, but they are also, in some cases, a necessity of all societies. So, saints have to have a cycle or have to have cycles of sin to give perspective, to know why they're doing what they're doing, to understand the world around them, to not be too separate from this experience altogether.
That makes sense. Because if you don't have perspective, how can you label what is quote unquote good and bad according to any one person's ideology as to what's good and what's bad, what's
Right.
sinful, what's holy, again, in quotes.
Yeah. What's hot, what's cold.
Yeah, exactly.
You only know what one is by referencing the other.
Yeah, what's light and what's shadow. You need both.
Yeah. And it's not to say that you have to, and people call it shadow work as well nowadays. And sometimes people say they on demon time. That's a little more dated. But it's really just to reflect on maybe how far you came, how far you need to go, what makes you comfortable in the skin that you're in, the sin in the skin. But those are just ways to gain more awareness, a fuller scope of it.
Yeah. And it's also a way to look at the things you don't want to deal with. Things that you do recognize within yourself, whether you see it as sinful or not, but it's not something that you want to deal with. And that's kind of why they call it shadow work, because you're dealing with the shadow. I use that term as well, but it's not a negative thing like a lot of people make it out to be. The shadow is just the ego most of the time. Um, it can be inner child as well because you didn't get certain things or that inner child needed something and it wasn't provided to them for whatever reason and now they're acting out. And you can also consider that to be part of your shadow as well.
That's interesting.
So, like for example, if you were a child and you grew up in a home where you were ignored all the time, you were quiet, you watched TV, you read books, you went to school, you did your homework, but you were basically just ignored. And now, as an adult, you're loud and obnoxious, class clown in college. You want to be the comedian, the funny man, and stuff like that. That's the inner child. That's that shadow.
Mm. And that's the reflection that is revealed. That's the other image in the mirror.
Yeah, and it's not so much about trying to get rid of it, it's more so about integration. Because I don't believe in getting rid of your shadow.
And that's how a saint has cycles of sin.